And a short time ago, News Limited's Group Editorial Director, Campbell Reid, joined me in Sydney. Campbell Reid, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Let's take a look at the front page of one of your publications today, Sydney's Daily Telegraph newspaper, likening Stephen Conroy to despots, dictators and mass murderers, Stalin, Mao, Castro, Kim, Mugabe, Ahmadinejad. So your organisation's quite comfortable trashing basic journalistic standards like fairness and accuracy, is it?
I don't accept that. That makes the point that the Telegraph was making in a vigorous tabloid way, which is how tabloids operate, that, like those people, Stephen Conroy believes that government intervention in a free press is acceptable. That's the point it's making. It's not likening them to any of their other crimes and misdemeanours. It very clearly says that. So that is a provocative tabloid presentation of an incredibly provocative act by a government, the first government outside of wartime in our country's history, to impose media oversight by the government.
Well, I'll come to the specifics of what they're doing in a moment. Inside that paper, it depicts Stephen Conroy as channeling Joseph Stalin. You say that there are similarities in the way these people wanted to control media and what Stephen Conroy's doing. Well, let's talk about the way Joseph Stalin controlled people who circulated information that was counter to what he wanted to do. They were rounded up, they were tortured, they were imprisoned in their millions, they were executed in public executions. So are you really doing your readers...
Do you seriously think a reader of the Daily Telegraph thinks that we are accusing Senator Conroy of next step he's going to be rounding up people? We're making the point about the freedom of speech here. We're allowed to make the point of freedom of speech.
But are you doing your readers a service in presenting the facts in an impartial manner so that they can make up their minds?
We're absolutely not. This is a tabloid newspaper in a robust, free society. If you don't like the position that is taken, and many of our readers and other readers don't, you don't have to consume it, you don't have to agree, and gee, if you want to complain, you can complain.
So tabloid newspapers don't have to adhere to the same standards of fairness and accuracy as other newspapers?
This is provocative. I reject that it's unfair, and I reject that it's inaccurate.
Has News Limited...
There's a difference between provocation and inaccuracy and unfairness. And if we're thinking that really what we need in Australian society is a taught of politeness and a shut-down media where you're not allowed to be provocative, you're not allowed to be interesting, you're not allowed to be...
You can be provocative and interesting, you just can't be blatantly unfair in terms of saying... Well, Joseph Stalin didn't pop up legislative packages for people to discuss or to pass through a parliament. He just rounded up people with opposing views and executed them.
Yeah. I say again, we're not saying, and the Daily Telegraph is not saying, that we expect Senator Conroy to be rounding up people. We are saying that he has decided, like those people, that it's okay to have the government control the free press, and it's okay in his world to demand that a parliament accept and pass that legislation within effectively 1 week's working days.
Aren't you doing all of us in the media a disservice by running something like this, because it gives critics an opportunity to say, well, there you go, that's why the media needs more oversight?
Okay, so under provocation, the media has to be very quietly, and please don't offend that nice Mr. Conroy.
Fairness and impartiality is pretty good standard.
He's well offended before today takes place. This is, you know, so please don't think for a second that an assault, and there's no other, no matter what the government pretends, this is government sanctioning of journalism. That's a massively provocative step in Australia, and that front page reflects that.
Let me put to you exactly what the Prime Minister said today and ask you to respond to it. She says of these reforms that they're basically to ensure high standards of self-regulation, and that if media companies do that, then they remain exempt from the Privacy Act. What's wrong with that?
Okay, this country has high standards of self-regulated media.
Like this one?
Absolutely. I have personally, with Julian Disney, been the architect of a reformed Australian Press Council that has had its funding doubled. It has 3 years rolling funding. It has 4 years notice of any notice to withdraw. And it absolutely, when it has a ruling, including against the Daily Telegraph publishes those findings and adjudications precisely to the letter as the Australian Press Council requires. The Australian Press Council oversight of the Australian media is as good, if not better, of any free society in Australia. To pretend that it isn't, I challenge the Prime Minister to give us specific examples, specific real examples of where that free regulation and self-regulation is broken down. They have consistently not done that, and still we need oversight of a government-appointed advocate or whatever you call it.
Stephen Conroy has previously said that the Cabinet and News Limited are at war. Is that how News News Limited sees it?
We perceive Senator Conroy to have a deep and abiding distaste for our company. We don't have a deep and abiding distaste for him. We are frankly bewildered at the perceived necessity in a completely free society to impose government sanctions on free speech.
So what does News Limited intend to do from here? There's a short deadline that Senator Conroy has imposed for the passage of this legislation. What's your next step?
Well, we would love the opportunity to spend some constructive time with Senator Conroy and have a discussion, time that hasn't been available to us to this point.
Do you think he'll grant it after being likened to Stalin today?
I have no idea, but our view is it was a terrible situation between us and the government going into this. That front page doesn't make it worse, but let's sit down and have a conversation about it.
Campbell Reid, thank you very much for coming in to join us.
Pleasure, thank you.